Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the product discussion on Set for Health. Set for Health is a critical illness plan that can help our clients when it comes to their critical illness and disability need. In this module, we'll go over the different features and benefits on what Set for Health has to offer. But before we begin, let's understand why did FWD come up with such a product? So we took into account the current situation provided to us by DOH in 2016. As you can see, these are the top three critical illnesses in the Philippines, which is heart disease, cancer, and stroke. Now, thanks to the advancements of medical technology, we can still live a long life even if we are stricken with such a critical illness. However, the cost of the treatment can be relatively expensive. As you can see, for heart disease, that has been the leading cause of death in the Philippines since 1987, okay, which accounts for 23.7% of the total death in the Philippines in 2016. There is a common treatment for that known as the heart bypass surgery. However, the cost of treatment can go up to 1,094,000 pesos. Cancer has been the second leading cause of death in the Philippines, where 75% of cancer patients are actually 50 years old and above. So, depending on the type of cancer, the cost of treatment can actually go up to 5 million pesos. The third leading cause of death in the Philippines is stroke. A common treatment for this would be thrombolysis. However, the cost of the treatment can go up to 2,240,000 pesos. Now, if you do not have Set for Health, you may survive the disease, yes. But the question is, will you survive the cost of treatment? Now let's watch a quick video on Set for Health, and afterwards we will discuss the features in detail.
30 years ago, getting diagnosed with a major critical illness was pretty much a death sentence. But now, medical advancements have made it possible for critical illness survivors to enjoy longer and more productive lives. The catch? Living longer potentially exposes us to more than one major critical illness in our lifetime, and treatment will still cost you an arm and a leg the second or third time, if you get coverage at all. Introducing FWD's Set for Health Plan. It's a one-of-a-kind plan that lets you live a worry-free life through good times and when things are not going so well. With Set for Health, get covered for 42 major critical illnesses and claim for up to 3 times for 3 unrelated major critical illnesses up to age 75. With 100% coverage each time to help you fight and recover. That's triple protection for triple peace of mind. Impressed? We haven't even scratched the surface yet. If you get diagnosed with your first major critical illness, we'll waive all future premiums, and coverage continues, free of further charges, so you can focus on what matters most, getting well. For 15 minor critical illnesses, you'll get ample coverage too. One claim up to 20% of the coverage amount to be exact. More than enough to help you with smaller medical expenses, which can still be a financial burden. But what if the illnesses don't come knocking? What if life stays awesome until you're 75 and you don't claim for a major critical illness? Simple. We'll give you 100% of your premium back, no questions asked. Lastly, what if the unthinkable happens before you reach 75 and you pass away? FWD will look after your family by giving them 100% of your plan's coverage amount so they can financially be worry-free. Visit fwd.com.ph or call +632 888 8388 to purchase your Set for Health plan today. We've got you covered for a lifetime of possibilities. Get ready to live.
Alright, so Set for Health is a comprehensive plan that provides coverage for multiple critical illnesses and even death until the age of 75. In Set for Health, we have coverage for 42 major critical illnesses and 15 minor critical illnesses. Now let's go over the different features that we have here in Set for Health, starting with our major critical illness benefit, our waiver of premium benefit, our minor critical illness benefit, healthy life benefit, and lastly, our death benefit. So let's start with the first feature, which is the major critical illness benefit. Now, under major critical illness benefit, you can claim up to three unrelated major critical illness. And for each claim, we will give you 100% of the sum assured. That means, let's say on the first policy year, the client gets diagnosed with cancer, you can claim 100%. Okay? A few years later, the client gets diagnosed with a heart disease, another 100%. A few years later, gets diagnosed with stroke, another 100% of the sum assured. Now take note, we do mention that it should be an unrelated major critical illness benefit, okay? So later on, let's define what that means, okay? So that's the first feature. Now, together with that, upon the first claim, we do have a waiver of premium as well. So to ease any financial burden, FWD will waive all future premiums when diagnosed with the first major critical illness. So the client does not need to worry about premium payments and he will still be covered up to the age of 75. Now, aside from the major critical illness, we do also cover for minor critical illness. Now, take note for minor critical illness, this is going to be a one-time claim, okay? How much is that going to be? That's going to be 20% of the sum assured or 500,000 pesos, whichever is lower. Okay? So this is going to be provided when diagnosed with any of the 15 minor critical illnesses to help cover health expenses. Now for the next feature, we have the healthy life benefit. So ideally in Set for Health, you would like to purchase this plan so that you can have peace of mind, right? So in case the insured gets diagnosed with either a major or a minor critical illness, you can claim from this plan. However, as much as we do not want to have a critical illness. We want to live a long and healthy life. So if you do so, we are going to give you 100% return of total premiums paid. That is given if there were no claims made against the major critical illness upon reaching the age of 75. So money back guarantee. If you get sick, you can claim from the plan. If you live a long and healthy life, you get your money back. It's a win-win situation for the client. And then lastly, we do also have a death benefit. So in case the insured person dies, the unfortunate happens before the age of 75, this time the beneficiaries can process a claim, okay? So how much is going to be our death benefit? This will be 100% of the plan's coverage amount, okay? Now take note, the death does not necessarily mean to be that it should come from a critical illness. No, it could be any form of death, whether it may be natural or accidental. Now let's go over a quick illustration on how Set for Health will work for our client Thomas. Thomas is a 30-year-old manager, has a wife with 3 kids. As a sole breadwinner, he understands that he cannot afford to get sick and lose his job. So he's someone who can greatly benefit from a plan like Set for Health. Now, how can Set for Health help him? So Thomas signed up for Set for Health with a sum assured of 1 million pesos. Okay? On the first year of the policy, sadly, Thomas got sick with a major critical illness, coronary heart disease. Okay, now since this is a covered critical illness, he can now file for a claim. So he receives 1 million pesos that he can use for his treatment. Plus, remember, we also have the waiver of premium. So the premiums will stop and Thomas does not need to pay for the plan anymore. and he's still going to have coverage, not need to pay for the plan anymore. And he's still going to have coverage up to the age of 75. On the second year, Thomas gets diagnosed with a minor critical illness, early stage cancer. So he receives this time 200,000 pesos. That is the 20% of his sum assured. Okay? On the third policy year, sadly, he gets diagnosed with another major critical illness. This is benign brain tumor. So once again, he receives another 1 million pesos that he can use for his treatment. Take note, Thomas is not even paying for this plan anymore since he had the waiver of premium. Then on year 5, he suffers his third major critical illness, bacterial meningitis. So this is another covered critical illness. So he once again can claim another 1 million pesos that he can use for his treatment. Then sadly, due to all the major and minor critical illness, he passed away on the sixth policy year. This time, the beneficiaries can claim 1 million pesos. This will be given in a form of a death benefit. So that's how Set for Health works, okay? So Thomas was 30 years old when he signed up for the plan. He chose a 20-pay Set for Health plan. His annual premium was 33,260 with a sum assured of 1 million. So that's only 33,260 pesos per year that he has to pay for 20 years, and he gets coverage of up to 4,200,000 pesos. Now, what if Thomas had no major claims whatsoever? He only had a minor critical illness on the second policy year. Remember, we do have the healthy life benefit, right? So if he's still alive at the age of 75, no major claims has been made, we are going to return 100% return of the total premiums paid. So he gets back 665,200 pesos. Now let's go over who can avail and how much. Let's start with the issue age. The issue age on this plan is going to be anyone between the age of 15 days old to 60 years old at the time of application. Okay? When it comes to the payment term though, it would be dependent on the issue age upon application. So if the client is between the age of 15 days old to 60 years old, we can opt for the 5-year to pay payment term. If the client is a bit younger, between 15 days old to 55 years old, we have another option of 10 years to pay. If the client is even younger than that, between the age of 15 days old to 45 years old upon application, we do also have a 20-pay payment term. Okay, now regardless of the issue age, Set for Health will cover the insured up to the age of 75. Okay, now when we talk about the minimum sum assured in this plan, that would be at 500,000 pesos. And for the maximum sum assured that we can issue, that would be 10 million pesos. Okay, now this is a health insurance plan, so we do require full underwriting. So make sure when we have our clients signing up for Set for Health, we want to make sure that they fully declare all their existing or past medical conditions. We need to be truthful when it comes to the underwriting questions. Why? We want to make sure when the client needs to process a claim that the claim would be approved. Okay? There should be no concealment or misrepresentation involved when applying Set for Health. Now, for the policy owner, this could be anyone between the age of 18 to 99 years old. Okay, maximum age of 99 years old is applicable if the owner is different from the insured. Now, let's go over the 42 different major critical illnesses that we cover. Now, the 42 major critical illnesses is categorized into 5 different groups. Group number 1 is going to be all forms of cancer. Group 2, you got major organ failure. Group 3, you got heart and blood vessel related. Group 4, neuromuscular related. And Group 5 are other major critical illnesses. Now, for group 1, that is cancer. Now, when we say cancer or major cancer, this must be confirmed by histological evidence of malignancy by an oncologist or pathologist acceptable by FWD. Cancer in the presence of HIV infection is excluded. For group 2, you got major organ failure. So as you can see, these are the different medical conditions under group number 2. For group 3, you got heart and blood vessel related. As you can see, these are the different conditions under group number 3. For group 4, you got neuromuscular related. These are the different medical conditions under group 4. And then group 5 are other medical conditions. Okay? Now take note, earlier I did mention that when we say major critical illness, for it to be a valid claim, it should be an unrelated major critical illness. So we got two conditions as you can see here in the bottom. Condition number 1 states each of the 3 major critical illness claims must belong to a different major critical illness group. So we can only claim from a different group. Okay? We are not allowed to claim from that same group more than once. Condition number 2. Diagnosis of subsequent critical illness should be at least 1 year from the date of diagnosis of the preceding critical illness. So if ever we get diagnosed with a major critical illness, to be eligible for another major critical illness or a minor, it should be after 1 year. Okay, take note, that would only apply for major to major and major to minor critical illness. Now, moving on to our minor critical illnesses, these are the different 15 minor critical illnesses that we cover here in Set for Health. So under minor critical illnesses, we have two groups. Group number 1 is juvenile condition, or the insured is a minor between the age of 0 to 17 years old. If so, they are covered with the following medical conditions. Okay? Then our second group is adult condition, so 18 years old and above. These are the following conditions covered if the insured is 18 or above. Now take note, for a juvenile, they can also claim from an adult group. However, for an adult, we cannot claim from the juvenile conditions. Now let's go over a couple of sample scenarios to check if a claim is going to be payable or no. Alright, so let's start with scenario number 1. We have Cynthia who was diagnosed on policy year 3 with breast cancer, that's group 1, and files for a claim. After 6 months of treatment, doctor declared Cynthia cancer free. And 5 years later, insured was again diagnosed with breast cancer and then filed for a claim. Let's take a look at the first claim for breast cancer. Is that payable? Answer is yes. Why? That's a covered critical illness under group number 1. How about the second cancer? Even though it belongs to the same group, is it payable? Answer is yes again. But why? Earlier I did mention, right, that it should belong to a different group. We do, however, have an exemption to that rule when it comes to the cancer group alone. Okay? So a second benefit under cancer group may be claimed provided that the insured is cancer free for at least 5 years prior to diagnosis of the second cancer. Now let's go over scenario 2. 6 months from effective date, Robert suffered an injury that resulted to amputation of 2 feet and filed for a claim. 3 years later, Robert was diagnosed with terminal illness and filed for a claim. For the first condition, is that going to be payable? Answer is yes. We do cover loss of limbs under group number 5. Okay, how about for the second medical condition, terminal illness? Is that payable? Answer is yes once again. Why? It belongs to a different group, which is group number 2. Now take note though, If Robert will be diagnosed with another major critical illness after a year, is it still payable? This time, answer is going to be no. Okay, why is that? Because we have a condition, part of our contract, which states no subsequent major critical illness will be paid if the benefit is due to terminal illness or loss of independent existence, which has been paid. Okay, now when we say terminal illness, this is a medical condition that no longer has any sort of treatment or cure anymore. And because there's no cure, sadly, the insured is going to die within 12 months. Okay? When we say loss of independent existence, this is a form of a disability where the insured cannot do activities of daily living, such as transferring, mobility, toileting, dressing, washing, or feeding. For scenario 3, 1 year from effective date, Peter was diagnosed with early stage cancer, which is a minor critical illness, and filed for a claim. However, after 3 days, Peter died. Is the minor critical illness going to be payable? Answer is no. How about the death benefit? Is that payable? Answer would be yes. Okay, now why is the minor critical illness not payable? Because part of our contract, we do have this condition known as a survival period. So the survival period is 14 days upon diagnosis before the benefit amount becomes payable. For scenario 4, Mary was diagnosed with cancer group 1, and 30 days from effective date of the plan, she filed for a claim. Is this going to be payable? Answer would be no. Why? Because part of our contract, we do have a waiting period. Okay? So claim shall be subject to the waiting period of 90 days. That is from the effective date and last reinstatement date. And for scenario number 5, Tommy was diagnosed with a minor critical illness on the third policy year but had no further claims after. Is the healthy life benefit still payable at the age of 75? Answer would be yes. Right? So the healthy life benefit is still payable at age 75, even if the insured had a minor critical illness claim. Okay? Now to summarize all our conditions, we have arranged that in one slide. So here are the conditions for a valid critical illness claim. Okay? Number 1, each of the 3 major critical illness claims must belong to a different major critical illness group. Number 2, diagnosis of subsequent critical illness should be at least 1 year from the date of diagnosis of the preceding critical illness. Number 3, a second benefit under cancer group may be claimed provided that the insured is declared cancer free for at least 5 years prior to diagnosis of the second cancer. Number 4, no subsequent major critical illness benefit will be paid if a benefit due to terminal illness or loss of independent existence has been paid. Number 5, the minor critical illness benefit is paid only once, is equal to 20% of the sum assured, or 500,000 pesos, whichever is lower. Number 6, survival period is 14 days upon diagnosis before a benefit becomes payable. Number 7, claim shall be subject to the waiting period of 90 days from the effective date or last reinstatement. And our last condition would be for coma. So a claim on coma shall be subject to a waiting period of at least 30 days from the onset to confirm presence of permanent neurological deficit. So as a planner, I would highly encourage you to please have a screenshot of this. So when you are going over Set for Health with your clients, you can go over the different conditions that we have. Don't worry though, this is also part of the sales illustration and part of the contract of our client. Now let's go over a couple of FAQs. Let's start with question number one. What will happen to my plan if I stop paying my premiums? Now take note, we do have a due date. Okay, if the client is unable to pay during that due date, we do have a grace period. The grace period, that is 31 days. Now if the client does not pay within the grace period, ideally the plan would lapse. Now, since Set for Health is a whole life insurance, we do have non-forfeiture options since we have cash values. Okay, so we have three different non-forfeiture options that would kick in. So this would be dependent on the client. Okay, so either it would be automatic premium loan. If automatic premium loans kicks in, the policy remains in force for as long as the cash values are sufficient to pay premiums falling due. Now take note, this is a loan, so the insured, the owner, they need to pay this back with an applicable interest rate. Okay? Another option would be policy surrender. If they opt for that, policy owner receives the cash value and the policy is terminated. And another option that would be reduced paid up insurance. So the policy will continue to be enforced. However, the sum assured would be reduced. Okay? So if the client does not select any option, our default option is the reduced paid up insurance. Now, question number two. Why does my premium look more expensive if I pay more frequently in a policy year? So let's take a look at this illustration where the annual premium is at 33,260 pesos. If the client does decide to pay monthly, the premium would be 3,160. If it's quarterly, that would be 9,313 pesos. And then for semi-annually, that would be 17,628 pesos. So if you do the math, it's more expensive for the client to pay monthly, quarterly, semi-annually versus that of an annual mode of payment. The question is why? Let's say the client paid just 1 month worth of premium, which is 3,160 pesos. In this illustration, the client is covered with 1 million. If the insured person died, the family, the beneficiary, straight away will get the entire 100% of the coverage amount, which would be 1 million pesos. Okay, so this is a modal loading which is followed across all traditional plans across the insurance industry. Question three, are there policy dividends? Short answer, no. Set for Health does not participate in the distribution of surplus or does not have dividends, which are non-guaranteed benefits that are offered in other insurance plans. Set for Health is all about guaranteed financial protection for critical illnesses and death, plus a guaranteed reward for keeping yourself healthy. If it opted for policy dividends, that would only mean the insurance premiums would be higher. Question 4. Are there cash values available for loan? Yes, there are cash values available for loan for as long as the policy is not under reduced paid up. Okay? The policy owner may file a cash loan against the policy with an applicable interest. Question 5. In what circumstances am I not eligible to claim for a benefit? So we do have the